Coach Fish back in 1989 at Marshall that made you decide that I want to spend maybe parts of the next 32 years with this guy?
Boy, that's a tough question. No, when I went to Marshall all those years ago, he had just finished playing, and I needed a GA, and we were scrambling. I took the job late, and just all the time I was in the office, he was there. Show up on weekends and that, so he kind of earned the GA's job, and then just has been with me at different times throughout the last 32, 33 years. So, um, but no, he's good to have around. He knows our stuff. He knows what we're trying to accomplish. So he's good to have.
Obviously, you've been doing this a long time. On October 10th, whatever it is, practice. What are the basic tenets you're trying to get established right now?
Well, we need to get our defensive principles. We were a very inconsistent ball team last year, and part of that was our rebounding and our defense. Our defensive numbers weren't good last year. Our rebounding numbers weren't good last year. And on the nights we didn't shoot it well, it really cost us. And one of the consistencies we have had is, we've usually been a little better rebounding team, and we've usually been a little better defensive team. So we need to establish that early. Got a lot of new guys we're trying to work in. Got some nagging, things that we're trying to get through with a couple guys. But, just trying to get, what our expectations are and, what we believe is important. There's a lot of different ways to play the game, but, we feel that certain things have been successful for us in the past, and hopefully we're trying to establish those.
Those aren't necessarily the most glamorous elements of the game, but with some veteran transfers, with some veteran returnees, you feel like these are guys that are amenable to that message right now?
I hope so. Leadership's so important, but Will, Quincy, and Dante are really trying to do a good job. A year ago at this time, Dante was nursing a ACL recovery and wasn't even practicing. Quincy wasn't practicing with a knee problem, and Will wasn't practicing. We didn't have any one of the three practicing in October last year. So, having those three guys and the leadership there, and then, the transfers that we have a lot of experience in Keyshawn and Jermaine. So, we do have those five that have played a lot of basketball, and then Waldo was with us last year. Luke was with us last year. So, we're hoping that helps us out.
Has there been any adjustment or has it helped at all having the August trip and things are maybe being installed, picked up a little earlier?
Yeah, I mean, it helped us with, just getting some guys together and, the extra 10 days that we had. So, yeah, those things, help, especially, with our late start of school, and the NCAA doesn't let us start till September 15th, and guys that are in school in August get to start a lot quicker. Sometimes it takes us a while to do some catching up, but the foreign trips definitely do help us.
Is this coming together a little bit like that 1920 team was a little, Dana, where you had Peyton back and you added a Shakur and an Anthony and Chris was coming in at that point, that like when you talk about veterans and you don't only have one freshman out there, that this kind of has that nucleus of between talent and experience like that team did a little bit?
Every year is different, but there are probably some similarities. I never thought of it in that regard, but we do have a veteran point in Will, and we had a veteran point there with Peyton, bringing in a couple vets. So, but I just hope we stay healthy. Dante, since he's been here, really hadn't been able to show what he's capable of because he hadn't been healthy, but he's healthy now. He's bouncing around. He's been our most productive player in practice. Really hadn't even been close. So we'd like to keep him healthy. Quincy's looking good. He's bouncing around a lot better than he was a year ago. So keeping everybody healthy is always a big factor in any team sport, so hopefully we can keep him healthy and keep making progress.
Last year you said that you sometimes struggle with the work ethic of the team. That you didn't have to kick people out of the gym as much as you might have liked. I know it's early, but have you seen a change in that so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, our guys are getting in more on their own. This isn't, rocket science. If you're not putting the time in, it's hard to be really good. The 20 hours we're allowed to work with them isn't good enough. And the guys that have been successful here that I've had an opportunity to work with here and at Creighton, at Kansas State, the guys that were successful were the guys that put in a lot of time. And putting in a lot of time doesn't guarantee success, but not putting the time in does guarantee that you're probably not going to be your best. And so I'm hoping our guys understand that. We've tried to make it really clear to them. I have noticed a lot more guys putting in time, but it's not a part-time thing. You can't do it for a few weeks or a month and say, well, this is good enough. The guys that make a commitment to it, Kyle Korver stayed in the league for 17 years. He never changed his work ethic, never. Brooks, Dylan, he works harder today than he did, and that's hard to do because he worked his ass off here. So, the guys, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to coach that have made it. That's one thing. They love the game and they love to be in the gym.
What's your 5 for Will? Every player wants to get better at something. What are you focused on having him get better at for your 5 for him?
Well, his leadership, he needs to take leadership. He knows what we're trying to do. He knows what has got us conference championships and Sweet 16s, and he's also seen the other side of it, what hasn't worked. So, I'm depending on that leadership. He's been great to work with over the course of his career. I'm glad he's back. I think he can have a tremendous year for us. But it's a team game. He's got to bring his teammates along with him. He's got to pay attention to details of the game. But I want him to have an outstanding year. I'd sure like to see him continue to get better, stay healthy, and have an opportunity to keep playing.
With something like a too big lineup, for you, is that completely opponent based, or for you to feel comfortable doing that, does one of them have to have a skill like perimeter shooting or be able to switch on the perimeter for you to feel that you could play those guys together for lengths?
The skill level's got to be there. We've got to have a jumbo package offensively. Defensively, can they go out on the perimeter? Some of it'll be opponent based. If they are going small, can Dante or somebody go out on the perimeter and guard? Those are all question marks that, can be answered here in the next month or two. But obviously, the skill level, Nate's a very good passer. His perimeter skills are a little bit better than our other 2 bigs. But, all 3 of them are decent passers. And so I think we could put some things together. We got to get Nate healthy right now, but hopefully he'll be back here in a week or 2, and we'll be able to get some things put together.
Is that what dates back to the Canada trip?
Yeah. Yep.
So, sorry. No, saying it goes back about a month or so.
Yeah. No, it's the MRIs are good and everything. We just have some tenderness there, and it's got to be an off and on. So we decided to rest him here for a while, see if we can get him more on than off. So.
Since you guys overlapped a little bit during the early part of your tenure, from a coach's perspective, what made Chip Kelly so successful at Oregon?
Well, Chip was very consistent on his expectations. He went to practice every day, and he was very consistent on what he expected day to day. I've always enjoyed going out and watching football practice, and I've watched all the coaches since I've been here. I'm on my 5th one now, so I've had some observations on football coaches. But, Chip was very, innovative at the time. The belief was there from his players, the staff. His consistency, like I said, I thought was a big factor. We'll go and watch them practice every day, So, like I said, everybody's different. There's a lot of different ways to coach the game, a lot of different ways to play the game, but whether it's football, basketball, you just, as a coach, you got to be comfortable with what you're doing. And Chip had a great comfort level of what he wanted to do. Dan, I've been really impressed with his staff and the movement in their practice, the pace of their practice, the enthusiasm in their practices, I think is really good. So, again, just, I don't know a goddamn thing about football. I'm a fan. I got my opinion like everybody else, but I like watching how things are done. Organization. It's a whole different thing, with 100 football players than it is with 15 basketball players. But it is interesting to watch the organization, the movement, the efficiency, the pace. Those things are all important.
With these new guys, does it at all surprise you that they're able to kind of have this early success being so young in their careers as they are?
Oh no, those guys are all experienced. They're young, but they're experienced, and their enthusiasm level, and those guys have been at winning programs. And so I think that does carry over.
With the schedule now set, just a couple things. One, is the Michigan trip, is that ever going to happen? Is they ever coming back, or is that just bought out and done at this point?
No, there's no buyout there. They're coming. I don't know. They have a hard time answering the phone, I guess. But no, they owe us a game, and we fully expect them to repay the game. I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, they would expect us to return it, and we sure in the hell expect them to return it.
And then with no non-conference true road games, is that just happenstance, or were you hoping
it didn't happen that we had an opportunity that we liked. With Houston coming in and with Michigan owing us a game, it wasn't like we needed to get a game, for next year that somebody owed us. So no, it wasn't something that we just said we're not going on the road. It was just the way it happened. And again, scheduling isn't an exact science, and being out here on the West Coast does create problems with some people not wanting to travel. But again, it's a good schedule. It'll challenge us. Going to UCLA early is going to be a tough road trip, but and I think the Pac-12 will be pretty solid. So I think our schedule will give us everything we want.